Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video. I thought I would do a top 25 comic books in my collection video. The last one I did was 3 years ago, and before that was 3 years ago. So maybe I'm going to be doing them every 3 years. I don't know. Who knows? I might do another one next year. But I'd like to do one right now. It just so happens that's the way it worked out. So I'm going to switch to old school view, classic view, where you just see the book. And this is just me introducing it and all that stuff. So how did I decide what my top 25 are? You know, depends on the book, the value of the book, the condition of the book, how much it means to me. All those things are factored in. It's not an exact science. So for those of you watching, like, ooh, how come this is above this? It doesn't make sense. You know, it's not an exact science, you know. So keep that in mind when you watch it. And check out the other two that I did. The first one I did back in 2015, the March of 2015. You see such a big difference from that one to the one I did in early 2019. And you might see a big difference in some of the ones from 2019 to now, 2022. So in any event, try to enjoy the video. I hope you enjoy the video. And I'm not going to talk too much over the books. I'm just going to show you this is number 25, 24. Enjoy, everybody. And maybe I'll see you in another 3 years when it comes to this type of video, or maybe I'll see you in another year. Who knows? In any event, enjoy. All right, everyone. We will start my top 25 comic books in my collection, 2022 edition. I even have some runners-up at the end of the video. So let's just get started. At number 25, we have The Amazing Spider-Man number 3, first appearance of Dr. Octopus, one of my favorite Spider-Man villains, and definitely one of my favorite early Spider-Man Ditko books. I'm not going to spend too much time on each. At number 24, this would be a little higher. Obviously, the grade was a little higher. The condition of the book, the value of the book would go up, and I would place that higher on my top 25 list. Now, like I said in my intro, how I figure out my top 25 is a variety of things, but it is not, and let me stress this, it is not an exact science. Because I know, sure, some people are like, hey, wait a minute, why is this at the number, and why is this at that number? Doesn't matter. It's what I think, and it's, again, not an exact science. So at number 24, we have Daredevil number 1. First appearance of the Daredevil, an underrated book for many years, in my opinion. And now it finally caught on, even at a 2.5. A CBCS 2.5. It fetches a decent amount of money. Let's see if I can fit one more on here. I can. I can fit 3 slabs on this thing, on this easel. At number 23, we have The Amazing Spider-Man number 14, a 4.0 copy. If you watched my very, very first top 25 comic books in my collection from March of 2015, I wanted to put my original copy of Amazing Spider-Man 14, and I showed it a couple of times, but the grade was just so low. It was probably like a 1.0. But eventually I sold it off, which helped fund this one several years ago. So let me just get these 3 out of here and start putting in the next one, which I believe is, we're at number 22. Forgive me if I mess up the numbering, I always do, but I believe this is number 22 on the list. We have Fantastic Four number 48, a 5.5 copy of the first appearance of the Silver Surfer and the first cameo appearance of Galactus. And at number 21, right in front of it, we have a 3.0 copy of Strange Tales 110, which happens to be the first appearance of Doctor Strange and others related to Doctor Strange, like Wong, the Ancient One, and even one of his arch rivals, Nightmare. So let's get these out of here. And now we move on to number 20 on the top 25 comic books in my collection. At number 20, we have Crime Suspense Stories number 22. Classic, absolute classic decapitation cover. One of my favorite books in my collection, for sure. Number 19. A low-grade copy. I'd like to upgrade this. I don't know when, but I'd like to upgrade it to a 4.0 one day. But anyway, in the meantime, I have a 2.5 copy of Tales to Astonish. Number 27, the first appearance of Hank Pym, who later becomes Ant-Man. So that's number 19. Let's see if we, again, fit one more on here. At number 18, we have Journey into Mystery 85. It's the first appearance of Loki. And several other Asgardians, like Heimdall, cameo of Odin, places like I think even Asgard makes its first appearance in this book, and the Bifrost Bridge. So there's a lot going on in this book. It's a pretty good book. It sits at the number 18 spot, at least as of 2022. If I decide to do another one of these next year, who knows where it might be. It might be lower or maybe completely off the top 25 list. So that was 18, I believe. So here we have at number 17, Batman number 49. This is the first appearance of the Mad Hatter and Vicky Vale. Really cool Joker cover. And at number 16, we have the Crypt of Terror number 17. Now my copy is a 2.5, maybe a 3.0. This book, like many of the early EC horror, pre-code horror books, have been picking up steam. And this is definitely a great one to have. And I was very fortunate enough to pick it up several years ago before the price just got way too high for me. So that was number 16. At number 15, we have World's Finest Comics number 3. The first appearance of the Scarecrow. This is when the Scarecrow truly makes his first appearance in this book right here. So that was number 15. We move on to number 14 with another Batman book. At number 14, we have Batman 121, the first appearance of Mr. Freeze. Truly a welcome addition to my collection when I first brought it in many years ago. Number 14. Number 13, we have X-Men number 4, a nice 4.0, 4.5 copy. Yeah, this is a book that really went up in value, largely because it's the first appearance of the Scarlet Witch. It's the first appearance of the Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Toad, and Mastermind. And it's the second appearance of Magneto. At number 12 coming up, a book I've had in my collection. I've had in my collection since 1994. At a 9.2, we have Amazing Spider-Man 129, the first appearance of the Punisher. So let's get these out of here and move on to number 11. What do we have for number 11? A book that I believe used to be in the top 10. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I really don't remember. But anyway, at number 11 as of the list of 2022, we have Giant Size X-Men. Number 1. This is the first appearance of Colossus, Nightcrawler, Storm, and Thunderbird. Some people say Foom is the first appearance of these characters. Foom 10. That's a magazine. I don't think that one fetches nearly as much as this. But regardless, it's still a great book. One of my favorite X-Men books. Truly is. Just by the sheer level of introductions and the story and the characters. You know, the characters I thought were just so much cooler than the original X-Men line. So to have these new characters like Storm, Colossus, Wolverine, even though he doesn't make his debut in this book, just really gave X-Men a second shot at life, which really worked. Now we're in the top 10, and we start off with number 10. The Fantastic Four number 4, the reintroduction of the Submariner. Again, I think this book for many years was a little underrated, a little undervalued. It wasn't undervalued as if it was, as to say it was $50 or something like that, because it certainly wasn't. But it was a few $100s for a nice 3.5, 4.0. But then it started to really shoot up. and could be out of reach for a lot of people right now. At number 9, we have Detective Comics number 140, the first appearance of the Riddler. This is a restored copy. If it wasn't restored, it'd be much higher on the list because of its value. But for me, it has a lot more value other than just monetary. It's one of my favorite books. I was just so happy to add this to my collection several years ago. And it was a book that I would just look at over and over again. But here it rests at number 9 in the 2022 Top 25 Comic Books in My Collection edition. So let me get at number 8. Let me just get these out of here. Number 8, and I think the first two Top 25s I've made, this book, this particular copy, has been in the top 10. And why not? It's the first full appearance of Wolverine in Incredible Hulk 181. I've often thought about cracking this one out and resubmitting it. I'm positive that it will get a higher than a 6.0. I've had this. This was my first CGC slab. First slab I ever bought way back in 2014. So almost 8 years ago. So it's really great to have and quite an upgrade from the copy I previously had. So that was number 8. Let's go to number 7 now. All right. At number 7, we have the Incredible Hulk number 1. Again, like the Detective Comics 140, this has some restoration on it. And if it didn't have any restoration on it, monetarily, it would rank higher, much higher on this list. But even at a restored 2.5, it still has tremendous value. Not just monetary value, but significance in that it's the first appearance of the Hulk. And very happy to have it in my collection. I really am. It's one of those things that I never thought I would get because I was never much of a Hulk fan. But when I finally got it, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, at number 6, I believe number 6, right? We have a book that's been shooting up to crazy prices from, as one would expect, high grades, mid grades, and even at the lowest of the low. I'm not quite at the lowest of the low with a 2.0, but it's a low grade. But the book just continues to go up in value because we meet Doctor Doom. And this is his first appearance at Fantastic Four number 5. Doctor Doom, I think, is the best Marvel villain. He ranks up there with some classic DC villains like Lex Luthor and the Joker. I'm not saying he's better than the Joker, but I do think he's better than Lex Luthor. He has just a great visual look, has such a great origin and great history within the Marvel Universe. And this book, like I said, has been climbing at all different grades. And when this character debuts, it's just going to explode. And I think, like, what they say, villain books, when it comes to monetary value, they go down after the villain is done with in the films. Doctor Doom, I think, is one of those characters that is kind of, if not completely bulletproof to that because of all the things I said about him a few moments ago. He is the quintessential Marvel bad guy. At number 5 now, the top 5. Can I fit one more on here? No, I can't. You already saw what number 5 is. Let's move these out of the way. And here we have Fantastic Four number 1. Again, it's a low-grade copy, a 1.5. Probably be higher on the list if it weren't in the shape that it's in. But it is a 1.5 complete, mostly attached at the cover, and a couple other things. But yeah, another, like Incredible Hulk number 1, a book that I never really thought I would get. When the opportunity presented itself years ago, I took it. And again, like with Fantastic Four number 5, even in the low grades, the book is very, 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 very difficult to get. It's very hard to pay for, rather. So, happy to have it. At number 4, we have a 9.0 copy of Albedo number 2. A very rare book, only 2,000 copies printed in the world. A poor man's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one for sure. Who knows? Maybe one day I might trade this in for another book. But for right now, because of the rarity and because of the value, it has a high rank on my top 25 books. Let's get one more in here. At number 3, we have Crime Patrol number 15. A book. This is the first appearance of the Crypt Keeper, and for those of you that watch my channel, you have seen me show this book several times. It's not an easy book to get. It's also a very pricey book to get, especially I think a couple months ago. I mean, I'm shooting this January 2022. I think in maybe October of 2021, it set a new record for 4.5. The value of this book. Whether that value holds, who knows. Regardless, it's a very sought out book and not easy to find. Not easy to find at all, and very, very important to me in my collecting. And I'm not going to go over why again. You watch my previous videos, you'll know why. And we'll put number 2 up here before we remove these and reveal what number 1 is. But I think everyone knows what number 1 is, but we'll show you anyway in a moment. But let's start with number 2. Well, I guess I don't have room. Keep Fantastic Four there. Keep the X-Men number 1 company. At number 2, we have X-Men number 1. The very first top 25 comic books in my collection back in March of 2015. X-Men number 1. It was a different copy, not this particular copy, held the number 1 spot. And I think in 2019, it fell a few spots down. Now it's back up. It's back up for many different reasons. I think the value definitely had an influence on that. But I also think that, X-Men for anybody, X-Men number 1 rather, is a book that has been a little underrated. Now, again, when I say underrated, it doesn't mean that no one liked it. It's just that for a while, the X-Men have always been important in the Marvel Universe. But the book, X-Men number 1, although expensive, sort of just stayed in one spot, while other books like Amazing Fantasy 15 and some others went up in value, rightfully so. But then around 2020, especially in 2021, this book shot up. It went down a little bit, as most of these books do, but it's definitely worth getting, definitely worth having in your collection if you're a Marvel fan, and especially if you're an X-Men fan. And now for the very last one. We all know what it is. It's Amazing Fantasy 15. You could have your Amazing Spider-Man number 1s, and that's a great book. And it's a book that I'd like to get in my collection. But you still, in order to have a real Spider-Man book, this is the one to have. It is the first appearance of Spider-Man, and I've said in other videos, he is in the top 3 superheroes of all time. Top 3. Underneath, in my opinion, Superman and Batman. Everyone knows who Superman is. Everyone knows who Batman is. They may never have read a comic book or even saw any of those movies. But I believe also everyone knows who Spider-Man is. And that says a lot for fans and non-fans alike. And to have the first appearance of that character in your collection is truly golden. And it's wonderful to have this in my collection. And just a quick answer to a question. I've shown this on social media several times, and they noticed that there seems to be white paper over there. And I had somebody ask me, is that the microchamber paper creeping through? Is that spine split? No, the spine is not split, and that's not the microchamber paper. You know what that is? It's the grader's notes. Yeah, a lot of these I have the grader's notes inside the bag with the slab, and a lot of them I just have on the computer. This is one that I printed out when I got it, and I just threw it in the bag, and it's been there ever since. So no, the spine is not split at all. This is despite it's a little dark and not as nicely centered. It's not a bad 2.0. Truly my favorite book in my collection. As a Spider-Man fan, nothing could surpass it, in my opinion. So normally I would end the video here, but I have some runner-ups. Some books that might have been in previous top 25 videos I made, or almost made this one, whatever it is. So let me clear these out and let's go over 5 more books that were the runners-up. Let's finally take Fantastic Four #1 out of here. So the first one up is X-Men #2, an underrated book for sure. And it's only within last year, this book. So I got a 6.5. It's a nice copy. Started to really climb in value. For many, many years, like X-Men #1, it stood in one spot. Like this kind of copy here would have been like $600, $500, $550. Now it's, I think, quadruple that. Let's go over the next one. The Amazing Spider-Man #2. This is a nice 3.5, 4.0 copy. Yeah, this is definitely top 25 material. And it could have easily been at number 25 or 24, but for whatever reason, I don't know why at the moment, it didn't make it. But that's why it's at the runner-up category. Kept the bag on this one, so it might be a little hard to see. Werewolf by Night #32. Well, it's no doubt over the last 2 years, this book has climbed in value and in significance. And again, I think this was another contender for the top 25, most likely at the bottom, probably at a 25, but definitely runner-up, I think. Show you a couple more, and then we'll end the video. As an EC fan, I think a lot of people, it's a low-grade copy, and it's one I'd like to upgrade to a 4.0 one day, but it's, again, not very easy to get. Vulture Horror #12. The first issue of the Vulture Horror. This book, some people say it's scarce. I don't know how scarce it is. I didn't do my research on it, but it's a runner-up for me because of what it is. It's the first Vulture Horror. It's really one of, like with Crypt of Terror, which made the top 25. That, and even Haunt of Fear 15, which doesn't make runner-up. A very significant EC pre-code horror book. And the last one, we go from one EC to the next. Haunt of Fear #17. This is the second 17, okay? The reason why this would even be considered for a top 25, because of the wonderful cover of Graham Ingalls. This is a classic cover. And some may say this is one of the best drawn horror covers of all time. And the story to which this cover is attached to, Horror Wee House Bayou, some say that's one of the best illustrated horror stories of all time. So I think that's a runner-up, if not potential for a top 25 in anyone's collection in my book. Well, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this latest edition of Top 25 books. I tend to do these every 3 years. Maybe I might do them every year, but I try to give it a little bit of time to get new comics in the collection and see how some of these are shuffled around and all of that. So it's not pretty much the same video more or less every year. But tell me what some of your top books in your collection, and take care, everyone.